Welcome back to Superly Said Advanced English Vocabulary and Phrases.
We are diving deep today. All of our material is pulled directly from a SpeakDuo lesson called Truth or Eat It with Kevin Hart.
And if you know anything about that game, you know it's high stakes. You either answer a really uncomfortable question or you have to eat something incredibly spicy.
It's about pressure, authenticity, and survival.
Which sounds a lot like my last performance review, actually.
Exactly.
Before we get into it, I just want to quickly mention that you can go to SpeakDuo.com. It's really the best place to meet people from all over the world, practice on video calls, and just get more confident with your English speaking.
Right, and you need that practice. So the idioms we're looking at today, they're not for beginners. This is for when the pressure is really on.
Okay, let's start with the attitude you need when that pressure hits. The phrase is, bring it on.
Bring it on. You know, when I hear that, I think of an action movie. Or maybe a sports match.
It has that kind of energy, doesn't it? In the source, Kevin Hart is looking at these incredibly spicy wings. He's scared, but he's also competitive. Bring it on is about accepting a challenge with confidence.
Maybe even a little bit of aggression.
Exactly. You're not just ready for the threat, you're actually inviting it.
Okay, but let's be real. Can you actually use this at work? I mean, if my boss gives me a tough project, I don't think I can just yell, bring it on!
Probably not, no.
So why not just say, I'm ready?
Well, I'm ready is passive. It just means you've done your prep and you're waiting. Bring it on is a power move. It shows you're actually eager to tackle the difficulty.
Okay, so give me a scenario where I don't get fired for saying it.
All right, imagine a competitor just slashed their prices to try and push you out of the market. The whole team is panicking.
Okay, that's a high-stakes situation.
You look at the numbers, you know your product is better, and you say, if they want a price war to test our brand loyalty, I say, bring it on.
Ah, I see. It completely shifts the energy from being defensive to being on the offense.
Precisely. It's also great for an IELTS answer. If you're describing a difficult situation, you could say, I didn't shy away from the problem. I really had a bring it on attitude.
That definitely sounds more confident than just, I was ready. Okay, so we've accepted the challenge. Now let's talk about timing.
The next phrase is, around the corner.
Right. In the source, this is that moment of dread, you know, just before the spicy food arrives.
It means something is happening very soon. But it's more than that. It's about a sense of inevitability.
But again, why do we need an idiom? Why not just say soon? Like the deadline is coming soon?
Soon is just a little vague, a little weak. Just around the corner feels more spatial. You can almost see it. It implies the event is so close you can almost touch it.
So it creates urgency?
Urgency, or maybe even panic. In a strategy meeting, you wouldn't say, consumer habits might change soon. You'd say, a massive shift in consumer behavior is likely just around the corner.
That sounds like an alarm bell. It means we have to do something now.
Exactly. But it can also be reassuring. To a team that's overworked, you could say, don't worry, the project completion date is just around the corner.
Right. The end is in sight. Okay, so now the challenge is here. We have to figure out what we're dealing with. Which brings us to our next phrase, assortment of. This one sounds a bit more academic, especially after bring it on. The source mentions, what? Exotic teas and old coins?
It does, but in a professional setting, this is a real precision tool. It means a collection of different types of things.
But is that different from saying a mixture or a bunch? You know, we have a bunch of problems.
Bunch is very informal, kind of sloppy. Mixture implies everything is blended together. Assortment suggests there's a distinct variety and the differences between the items actually matter.
So if I'm analyzing why a project failed, I wouldn't say we had a bunch of errors.
No, that sounds like you haven't really analyzed it. You'd say the project failed due to a small assortment of minor technical errors that compounded over time.
That sounds much more professional. Like you've actually identified and categorized the problems.
It does. It elevates your vocabulary. For an IELTS example, instead of I have many old postcards, you could say I have an assortment of vintage postcards.
Much more sophisticated. Okay, but what if people start arguing over the details of those errors?
Well, then you're getting into semantics. And that's where tomato comes in.
You know, tomato, tomato. This one can feel a little bit dismissive, I think.
It can be, for sure. It's used to say that two things are basically the same, even if people are using different words for them.
Right. But if my boss says, it wasn't a failure, it was a learning opportunity, and I just reply with tomato, tomato, I'm probably in trouble.
Yeah, you probably are. You have to use this one carefully. It's really a way of dismissing the argument itself.
So it's for cutting through a pointless debate?
Exactly. Imagine the board is arguing about whether a new strategy is a pivot or a failure. You could cut in and say, whether you call it a pivot or a failure is just tomato, tomato to me. The point is, we need a new plan.
That's a real power move. It says stop wasting time on words and focus on what we need to do.
It prioritizes action over labels.
Okay, so the debate is settled. But what if you're the one who's brand new to this whole high-stress environment?
Then you are the new kid on the block.
This comes from the source phrase to be on the block. It just means being a newcomer to a specific group or an industry.
Right. But I think it's important to distinguish this from just being a novice.
Is there a difference? I mean, if I'm new, I'm a novice, right?
Not always. Novice is about your skill level. It means you're a beginner at the task itself. New kid on the block is about your social standing or how long you've been in that specific environment.
Ah, I see. So you could be a really experienced manager, but if you move to a new company, you're still the new kid on the block.
Exactly. It's about your place in the group, not your talent. So in business, you might say, as the new kid on the block, the startup has to disrupt the market to get noticed.
They have to be louder because nobody knows their name yet.
Yes. Or, for an IELTS question about moving, I really felt like the new kid on the block when I first moved to the city. It captures that social outsider feeling.
But the goal is not to stay the new kid forever. You want to get to the top.
And when you do, you get to star alongside the greats.
Okay, so literally this is about acting in a movie. But what about metaphorically?
Metaphorically, it implies you're on the same level. It implies equality.
How is that different from just working with someone? I work with my colleagues every day.
Working with is neutral. It just describes a function. You can work with your boss, but you're not equals. To star alongside someone implies you're both headliners. You're sharing the spotlight.
So it's about prestige and status?
It is. Imagine you're a junior lawyer on a huge case. You wouldn't say, it was a career-defining moment to star alongside the lead partner. That implies you are equals in the trial.
Right, it suggests you were right there with them, not just carrying their briefcase.
Exactly. It frames your accomplishment as something major.
Okay, you've made it. But in the original game with Kevin Hart, the whole point is about honesty.
Right. Which brings us to speak one's truth.
You hear this phrase everywhere now, but isn't it just a more complicated way of saying tell the truth?
No, and I think the difference is really important. Telling the truth is about objective facts. The company's profits went down by 10%. That's the truth.
Okay.
Speaking your truth is subjective. It's about your personal experience, your feelings, your perspective.
So if I say our revenue is down, that's telling the truth. But if I say I feel like our current strategy is hurting team morale, that's speaking my truth.
Exactly. And in business, that often takes more courage. It's that moment in a big meeting where you stop just agreeing and you say something authentic.
Something that might be uncomfortable for people to hear.
Yes. Having the courage to voice my personal experience, even with the social pressure, is what I mean by speaking my truth. It validates the emotional side of things.
I see. Well, speaking of hard facts, let's talk about what you need to make things happen.
Let's talk about upfront money.
This one sounds very direct, like show me the money.
It is. It means payment made in advance. But it's not quite the same as a deposit.
A deposit is more like a security measure, right? To make sure you bring the rental car back.
Right. A deposit is usually smaller, often refundable. Upfront money refers to the serious capital you need to even get a project started. It's about the seller reducing their risk.
So a top-tier consultant doesn't ask for a deposit.
No. You'd say the consultant required significant upfront money just to initiate the work.
It signals that they have a lot of leverage. It says, my time is so valuable that you have to pay me before I even start.
Exactly. It totally changes the power dynamic of the negotiation.
Which brings us to our last phrase, the victory lap at the very end.
Eat your heart out.
It's such a strange phrase, visually.
It is. It's a humorous, almost boastful way to say you're better than someone at something, but the nuance is that you usually say it to a rival who isn't actually there.
Right, you're not going to walk up to your competitor and say this to their face.
Please don't. It's rhetorical. It's a way of celebrating a huge success by comparing yourself to the very best in the field.
So if I managed to close a deal everyone thought was impossible,
You might lean back in your chair and say to your team, "We just closed 3 deals in 1 hour. Wall Street, eat your heart out."
it's a kind of playful arrogance.
It is. It's the perfect mic drop.
And speaking of the end, I think it's about time we see if our listeners were paying attention.
It is time for the quiz.
This is where we test if you've really got these phrases down. Okay, I'll read a question with 3 options, A, B, and C, and I'll repeat the key phrase a few times. Feel free to hit pause here if you need a second to think. And don't worry, there are no spicy wings if you get it wrong.
All right, let's go. Question 1, we're testing bring it on. Which of these sentences best uses bring it on to show professional confidence? Is it A, if the board wants a debate on the new strategy, I say bring it on. B, we need to bring it on the new equipment before the deadline arrives. Or C, the marketing team decided to bring it on the latest social campaign.
Think about accepting that challenge.
The answer is A.
If the board wants a debate, I say bring it on. That's the one. It's welcoming the conflict. The others don't really make sense.
Okay, question 2. Let's look at around the corner. Select the most natural usage of around the corner in a strategic business context.
The office building is located just around the corner from the station. Option B. A massive shift in consumer behavior is likely just around the corner. Or option C. He parked his car around the corner to avoid the heavy morning traffic.
Are we talking about a physical location or are we talking about time?
The correct answer is B.
A massive shift is likely just around the corner. That's the one that means an event is happening very soon. The others are just literal directions.
Question 3. For a formal review, how is assortment used most effectively?
The project failed due to a small assortment of minor technical errors. Option B. She organized an assortment of files to be sent to the executive team. Or option C. The exhibition featured a curated assortment of late-century artifacts.
Remember, we're looking for that idea of a distinct variety of things causing a specific result.
The best answer here is A.
A small assortment of minor technical errors. This perfectly captures how a variety of different, specific problems led to the failure.
Question 4. Identify the nuanced conversational use of the idiom tomato, tomato. Whether you call it a pivot or a failure is just tomato, tomato to me. B. I prefer the red tomato, tomato over the yellow ones for this recipe. Or C. She told him to buy a tomato, tomato from the market for the salad.
Don't get distracted by actual tomatoes.
The answer is, of course, A.
Whether you call it a pivot or a failure is just tomato, tomato. It's dismissing the difference in terminology.
Question 5. Which statement correctly applies the new kid on the block idiom to industry dynamics? Is it A, the new kid on the block moved into the house next to the old park? B, as the new kid on the block, the startup must disrupt existing norms? Or C, he felt like the new kid on the block after finishing his high school?
Think about a specific environment or industry.
The correct answer is B.
As the new kid on the block, the startup must disrupt existing norms. That's about being a newcomer in a specific business ecosystem.
Question 6. How is star alongside used to describe a professional peak?
The actor was happy to star alongside the set for the entire summer. B. She wanted to star alongside the script to ensure the role was hers. Or C. It was a career-defining moment to star alongside such a legend.
Remember, this is about collaborating with a person of high status.
The answer is C.
To star alongside such a legend, that implies equal, high-level participation. You can't star alongside an object, like a script or a set.
Question 7. In a socio-linguistic context, what does speaking one's truth primarily refer to?
Having the courage to voice personal experiences despite social pressure. B. Providing an accurate and factual account of events to a legal body. Or C. telling a story that everyone already knows to be fundamentally correct.
Is it about objective facts or subjective personal courage?
The answer is A.
Having the courage to voice personal experiences. That is the very definition of speaking your truth. Option B is just giving testimony.
And finally, question 8. Select the most accurate application of upfront money in a business negotiation.
They spent the upfront money to decorate the office for the holidays. B, the consultant required significant upfront money to initiate the work. Or C, we found the upfront money in the drawer after the meeting concluded.
Which option shows the most leverage?
The answer is B.
The consultant required significant upfront money to initiate the work. That's the power move we talked about.
So if you got all of those right, you are definitely ready for the boardroom. These phrases really do take you from just being a functional English speaker to being a truly strategic communicator.
They really do. They give you the nuance to handle pressure, to negotiate, to be authentic. We'd love to hear how you use these. Maybe send us a voice note of you using Bring It On at work.
Maybe ask for permission first.
Yeah, good advice.
Thanks for listening to Superbly Said. Keep practicing, and we'll see you next time.
Bye for now.